Dear class of 2022, so this is how it ends. We finally graduate from Polytechnic. Growing up, I always loved watching movies romanticizing the tertiary education life, fantasizing of the day I would finally star in my own movie. My story got a perfect start and ending, but in between, it feels like the director has left us with one of the biggest cliffhangers in history.
Most workplaces across Singapore have shut as the country begins what's being called a circuit breaker.
Authorities say it could possibly see up to 15,000 daily cases in a worst-case scenario. Singapore is bracing for a wave of Omicron cases which might be bigger than the Delta variant.
It honestly doesn't feel real that I'm about to leave my second home. So, where do I start? I guess from the beginning. 3 years ago, we entered Polytechnic as completely different people, physically, mentally, socially. The growth we experienced in this quick 3 years is unlike no other. Now, to be honest, I haven't scrolled through my archives that hasn't brought me to tears. Each of us have had such personal experiences with such personal lessons, and I, for one, have learned quite a few. As a freshman, I learned that, well, to be quite blunt, friends are temporary. In other words, people who want to be in your life will make an effort to be in your life. As a junior, I learned that growth is painful, change is painful, but there's nothing as painful as staying stuck somewhere you don't belong. I learned that after moving to online school, I really did miss physical classes. As a senior, I learned that life has gone by fast. I learned to appreciate every moment that I'm in, because to be honest, sometimes we really don't know how the moment we are living in is until it's gone. Whether you're one of my classmates watching this, or another fellow graduate, or simply just someone wanting to hear what I have to say, I want to say, cherish every moment life gives you. The day was Friday. It was February 4th, 2021. I had my last day of physical class in Polytechnic and never knew it. As I walked out the door, I told my classmates, see you all next semester. But as fate would have it, the next year was spent on online classes. If I had known that day would be the last day I stepped foot on campus for official classes, I would have sat in the classroom a little bit longer. I wouldn't have raced so quickly to catch the bus back home. Because right now, I would give anything to have another chance to be approximately 15 minutes late to quantitative methods every Friday. I would give anything to seeing the boys fool around in class. I would give anything to talk to my friends enough. I would give anything to see myself clowning in front of my aeronautical science teacher one more time. I would give anything to have it all back. I remember in freshman year, I was so introverted and initially didn't want to go for freshman orientation. Thank God I stepped out of my comfort zone. At least, I always have that one major event for me to treasure for the rest of my life. Throughout Polytechnic, we had countless presentations where all of us had to wear formal outfits. This same outfit was used for our recent graduation photo shoot in town. I remember walking in the CBD area, telling Darren that we blend in with the crowd, and said that this might be us in a few years' time. The thought scared me. It terrified me to my core. But I was also so ready for my next phase in life. I wouldn't trade anything for the memories, people, or lessons I've had. I wouldn't trade anything for a single night I spent having deep talks with my best friends. I wouldn't trade anything for the numerous nights I spent staying up to complete my projects and assignments. And it was these little things I would miss the most. Not too long ago, I picked up my 2022 graduation gown. 2022 always felt just so far away. Putting it on felt so weird because it dawned on me that I'm actually graduating. It felt weird knowing I was already at the tail end of my Polytechnic journey. It felt like just yesterday when I was a freshman, getting to know new people at orientation, and how I wish it was just yesterday. Sure. Any last words?
What do you mean by any last?
Any last words for your graduation?
What last words? I think I'm going to die already.
I just want to die.
Happy grad, yay!
If I'm grateful for one thing, I'm grateful for the fact that I never wasted a second of my 3 years. I'm grateful that I broke curfew many times for experiences I won't get a second chance at. I'm grateful that I sacrificed a full night's rest for late night drinking sessions. I'm grateful for what the pandemic has taught us. It really did push me to savor every single second of junior and senior year, because I knew these moments were precious. When all I had was online learning, I vowed to never take for granted a second of physical classes. Even though it feels like a huge chunk of enjoyment has been taken from my polytechnic life, I'll forever be so grateful for the main characters in my life. In a few weeks or months, we're all gonna go our separate ways and play roles in other people's stories. So I want to say thank you. Thank you for being a part of writing a chapter in my life. It's crazy to think we met just 3 years ago. You've been my biggest supporter, here for me, through thick and thin. Yongshen, my best friend unconditionally, you've taught me what friendship is, and I'm forever grateful for you. I'm forever grateful for you being my other half, for being our DJ in computing class, for being a co-host for my podcast, and most importantly, for just being there when I needed you. Trisha, my older sister, you're literally something else. The person I look up to for being so independent. I'll forever remember the times we rushed our assignments at Starbucks opposite school, the times we studied for our semester exams in library, the times where we laughed until our stomach hurts. I'll never find someone else like you. Thank you for being a part of my life. Thank you for growing with me. Darren, it was probably God willing that we grew closer in the latter stages of freshman year. I wonder what life would have been without you. All the joy rides in your car, going for breakfast drives, watching almost every Formula 1 race together every weekend, spending those late nights fooling around in the wheelchairs with. I'm lucky to have you. Onsi, I think we can both agree we've grown a lot since we dated in year 1. You've taught me things Polytechnic can't teach, but you've also taught me things that Polytechnic can teach that I can't learn very well. Thank you for caring for me unconditionally. Thank you for being in my life. There's so many people I wish I could talk about. I can go on for days. But if you had any part in my life, whether you have talked behind my back, whether you love me or hate me, whether we are close now or we are distant, thank you for being one of the reasons I've grown. Thank you for making me who I am now. As we all know, a dynamic character must go through change. And special mention, thank you Miss Margot for being our form teacher and for mentoring us throughout our final year project. We may not get a senior trip or a senior prom, nor have a full attendance for grad night and our convocation. But we did get these experiences together, and these are things I'll never forget no matter where we end up. This was our movie, and while it lasted, it was a hell of a ride. So now, it's time to say goodbye to Polytechnic and say hello to university. It's time to look ahead into the future. A few years from now, we're going to look back at these Polytechnic years and talk about our accomplishments and all the ridiculous things that we have had to do. We'll probably laugh about all the stuff we've done and said while we were still in Polytechnic, and then just remember. You gotta just remember.
I'm still holding on to everything that's dead and gone. I don't wanna say goodbye, cause this one means forever. Now you're in the stars, and 6 feet's never felt so far. Here I am alone between the heavens and the embers. Oh, it hurts so hard.
If there's anything you take from this video, remember that to leave a legacy and to achieve greatness is not to get money and recognition. It is to leave those with whom you cross paths with a little more happiness and hope. Our time here together as a cohort will not be remembered by grades, popularity, likes or favourites, but by our relationships, the kind of person you were. These are legacies, the kind we must leave. Class of 2022, it's been a splendid 3 years with you, and from the bottom of my heart, I wish you all the very, very best.
lukie.kks.
Proudly call ourselves graduates of Temasek Polytechnic.
So guys, that's all for the video. I hope you all have enjoyed this compilation of my 3 years in Polytechnic. Now, just speaking off the cuff, it isn't easy to say it, but this is the end of my Polytechnic journey, and if you've been with me since year 1, crazy to see how far we've come. Thank you so much. Thank you for being a part of my journey.
Okay, GPA boss! Yeah! Sing!